As far as the political crisis in Punjab is concerned, Navjot Sidhu is yet to be officially announced as the Congress's state party chief. Meanwhile, he held a meeting with 6 other MLAs, including 2 cabinet ministers. All of these are seen to be anti-Amarinder Singh leaders. And ahead of the cabinet reshuffle, some of these ministers have hinted that if either of them is dropped from the cabinet, then they will go for mass resignation. Amarinder Singh is also holding a meeting with party MLAs and MPs at his private farmhouse in Mohali. My colleague Ghazali joins us now for more on this. So Ghazali, the tension continues at this stage. When is there an expectation of Navjot Sidhu being officially announced for that post of state chief?
See, the party in charge of Congress party, the state in charge of Congress party in Punjab, Mr. Harish Rawat, earlier today said that Navjot Sidhu will be appointed as state president, but took a U-turn in the evening saying that I had only hinted that Amarinder and Sidhu will work together. Now, suspense continues because Amarinder Singh has already announced or has expressed to the High Command that he was not willing to accommodate Sidhu as a state president until few others are also appointed as working president. Even that formula was worked out, but still there is some tension because Mr. Rawat is expected to meet Mr. Amarinder Singh tomorrow. All the official announcement was expected by today or tomorrow, but it has been delayed due to some other issues as well, because there are a cabinet reshuffle in the state government is also expected, and many ministers or a group of ministers in the state cabinet are also upset with Amarinder Singh, and some of them have hinted that if either of them are sacked, then they may go for mass resignation as well.
Basically, both sides, those close to Sidhu and those close to Amarinder Singh, are all gathering their leaders, right? Their supporters and MLAs. Is that right?
Certainly, the dissidents who are upset with Amarinder Singh, Sidhu is trying to hobnob with them or trying to get them on his side to show that he has the numbers. If later during this entire process, if it all boils down to who has the numbers or who is a bigger leader, then certainly both the leaders are trying to show that they have numbers or they have their strength. Okay,
let's go across to Sanket Upadhyay, who joins us. Sanket, the crisis in the Punjab Congress seems to be intensifying now, with leaders loyal to both Sidhu and Amarinder Singh going to their respective camps. So where does that leave the Congress in the state?
In a very difficult situation, because after many months and finally after the past few meetings that took place in the national capital of both these leaders coming into Delhi, speaking to this committee which was formed by the central leadership, even speaking to the central leaders, the Gandhis directly, both of them, it appeared, and that is what the Congress camp had us believe, that it appeared that now finally we are inching towards a situation where Navjot Sidhu and Captain Amarinder Singh are going to work together. So it will not be Captain versus Sidhu, but Captain and Sidhu. But now it is very, very clear that those issues have remained largely unsettled, and this is hugely embarrassing for the central leadership of the Congress party, hugely embarrassing for the Gandhis as well, that after having thought that they've solved this crisis, the crisis still moves on. In fact, almost reaching a situation where many would say that Sidhu may be engineering a split within the Congress party, taking his own MLAs or MLAs loyal to him or MLAs not really in league with Captain Amarinder Singh, moving to his side. What does this mean just 6 months ahead of elections? I think is going to be very, very critical. The Punjab Chief Minister is holding a meet with his party MLAs in Mohali, whereas Navjot Sidhu is upset. These meetings are taking place. Cars are moving from here to there. There's a lot of drama happening as of this moment on the Punjab side of Chandigarh. That is,
and these rebel MLAs or leaders, those loyal to Sidhu, have basically made the point that if they are dropped from the cabinet, right, or from their portfolios, they will all quit en masse. Is that what the plan is?
Yes, so I think Ghazali will be in a better position to tell us about this, but it's very clear that many issues remain unsettled. From what we are learning, and this is information coming in from our colleague Ghazali, that Sidhu is yet to be officially announced as the state chief, so that drama continues even now. He held a meeting with 6 other MLAs, including 2 cabinet ministers who are both anti-Amarinder camp. So 2 of the sitting ministers in Amarinder Singh's cabinet who are seen as anti-Amarinder Singh, Sidhu has met them. Some rebel ministers also who complained about Amarinder Singh to the High Command have hinted that if either of them is dropped from the cabinet, then they will go for a mass resignation, which basically means, and one does not know whether they will resign from the cabinet or resign from the party. And if they do that, if they resign from the cabinet, then what exactly do they do and which camp do they go to? The point over here is, while this drama plays out, as Amarinder is also holding a meeting with party MLAs and MPs in his private farmhouse in Mohali. So you can imagine that there is one small lot with the Navjot Singh Sidhu, and then there is another lot with Captain Amarinder Singh, who are both separately meeting, and nobody is talking to the media from what we are hearing. It's a deeply embarrassing situation for the central leadership. I also do not know how is Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu going to be portrayed or be seen in the Congress scheme of things, because if he is now being seen as someone who's trying to engineer a split, or his camp is talking about resignations, then how is this going to be taken as far as the central leadership is concerned?
Right.
I can tell you one thing from what we have learned from sources is that if there really has to be a choice, you know, that tough, hard stop decision that has to be taken, as far as the Congress leadership is concerned, they have reiterated time and again that they will fight these elections under the leadership of Captain Amarinder Singh.
And in all of this, the Aam Aadmi Party is waiting and watching, right?
Absolutely. I'll also like to tell you what the Aam Aadmi Party, I mean, they were really hopeful that there will be a situation that maybe Mr. Sidhu, along with his MLAs or people who are loyal to him, may move to the Aam Aadmi Party. There's all sorts of things. Do you remember 2 days ago that very cryptic praise for the Aam Aadmi Party, and then criticism also, but praise also, and no frank denial? This clearly shows that there is a lot of tension in the Punjab unit of the Congress Party, and certainly these meetings that took place in the national capital have not helped. This is proof.